What's up, guys? It's me, Grey Wolf, back here to do another video for you. Today we are going to be comparing the Hakko FG-100 against the Hakko FG-100. Wait, what? That's right. We're going to be comparing the Hakko FG-100 against the Hakko FG-100. We're going to be comparing the real, quote-unquote, real Hakko FG-100 against the quote-unquote fake Hakko FG-100. The real one, I forget the exact retail price on these. They're somewhere between 50 to 100. I'm sorry, between 150 to $200 retail online. The quote-unquote fake ones can be had off of eBay from China, from anywhere from probably about I think they range about 10 to 14 bucks. Supposedly, now, okay, so first off, before I jump into comparing all these and everything, supposedly, okay, with the fake Hakkos, we'll just get this out of the way. With the fake Hakkos, supposedly there is a Celsius version and then there is a separate Fahrenheit version. When I purchased this, I was under the impression that this would do both. It does not, and I accidentally ordered the Celsius version. I read online that there's two different versions, but when I went back to eBay to try to find the Fahrenheit version, I could not find a Fahrenheit version. All of them seem to be Celsius. So I can't verify that there is a separate Fahrenheit version of this, but I've read that online. Now the real Hakko, and this is one of the ways you can tell if you have one of the current quote-unquote real Hakkos or not. There is if you take this apart, there is a jumper inside of this that allows you to change it from Celsius to Fahrenheit. And that is one way for sure that you can tell the difference between the two if somebody ever tries to pass off one of the fake ones as one of the real ones. That's one way you can tell for sure if you have a fake or a real one. There's another way too, and I'll get into that here in a few minutes, but one other possible way you could tell is that the real Hakko, my real Hakko at least, has a black and silver label on the back of it. My fake Hakko has a white and black label on the back of it. This could be another way to tell if you have which version you have, but I don't know if these remain constant across all of the real and all of the fake Hakkos. But that could be another way to tell. Other than that, these two units are virtually identical. Now this one, as you can see, does have a white disc around the top post there. The fake one does not. But I've read online that some of the fake ones actually have the white disc also. So, oh, another way you can tell, and again, I don't know if this is constant between all of them or not, but if you look at the on-off button on the real one, it's actually blue and yellow. The on-off on the fake one is black and yellow. And like the trim around here is, you know, it may not be black, it may actually just be a very, very dark blue, but it is definitely if it is blue, it is definitely a much darker shade of blue. I hope you guys can tell you can see the difference. It is definitely a much darker shade of blue. And actually the two shades of yellow aren't quite the same either, but they are very, very close. They're much closer than the two shades of blue. But again, if somebody handed you a fake Hakko and said, hey, this is a real one, you wouldn't know it just by looking at the front and even in the back of it, unless maybe you've watched this video, in which case you may be armed with the knowledge that you need to distinguish. But if you haven't seen this video, you probably wouldn't. You'd probably take this for a real Hakko. Again, if there is any question, take it apart, see if it has the jumper to change it from Fahrenheit to Celsius. If you happen to have the boxes, that they come in. The boxes are almost identical as well. Very, very, very little difference. But if you happen to have the boxes, you can also tell which one's fake and which one's not from the patent numbers. Both of them have a patent number right here in the bottom of these tags. And let's see if I can get both of them in the frame at the same time. So both of them have a patent number on these stickers. And I've actually looked up both of the patent numbers, and the patent number for the real one, of course it says it's from the Hakko Corporation. Let's see, I've got some notes over here from about 2006, 2007 time frame or so. The patent number on the fake Hakko actually is also a Hakko patent number. It is a legit Hakko patent number, but it dates back to 1988, 1989 time frame. So, and it's actually registered to the Hakko Metal Industries Limited, or Hakko Metal Industries Limited. Which I did some research on Hakko's website, and Hakko actually did go by that company name for a while before they became Hakko Corporation. So it does appear to be a legitimate Hakko patent and a legitimate Hakko design. And if it is, then we should see very similar results, I would think, between the two. Now, this is an older design, so maybe it's not, maybe it's not quite as accurate. Then again, maybe there's no difference in the accuracy of them. Maybe the patent number just changed because, maybe some slight internal changes were made to it, or who knows why exactly the patent changed. The patent for this fake Hakko being an actual Hakko patent would lead me to believe, I don't know, you could theorize a couple different things. Like, the thought popped into my head that, maybe these actually were made by Hakko pre-2006, and maybe they just have a huge surplus of them and they're selling them off overseas in different markets for cheaper because, companies do that kind of thing. Currencies and what's the word I'm looking for? One country's economy could be a lot weaker than another country, and I know it's a common business practice to sell similar or sometimes the same devices, in those markets where the economy is weaker for less money. And maybe that's what they're doing with these old ones that they have surplus. Maybe, some Chinese company has paid Hakko for the rights to use their old patent to remake these. I'm not entirely sure, but if they are going from the old Hakko patent number, then I would expect, if they're making them to the old Hakko specs, I would expect this to be a fairly accurate device, and I will compare them here shortly. But I'm expecting it to do pretty much the same thing as the quote unquote real Hakko. If we want to take a look at the sensors that came in each one of the boxes are virtually identical as well. The packaging is virtually the same. On the back, the labels are slightly different, but again, it's very slight differences. The sensors that came with the real Hakko have a patent number on them. The sensors that came with the fake Hakko do not have a patent number on them. But other than that, they have the same exact part number. They have the same barcode number. The sensors themselves are virtually the same, except for the little blue and red plastic pieces that are around the various ends, so you know which end goes on what pole. It does look like they're made out of a slightly different material. Again, these just could be, it could just be an older set or an older design. It's hard to say, but they look identical. And what I'm going to do after I test both the units to compare the fake one to the real one, I'm actually going to use one of the sensors from the fake unit on the real unit and compare and see if there's any difference in the sensors that's detectable. Okay, so I've switched the real Hakko over to Celsius so we can do a more apples to apples comparison, because the fake Hakko does not do Fahrenheit. If we turn them both on, and I hope you guys can read the numbers on these displays okay, but if we turn them both on, the real Hakko is reading 25 degrees Celsius, the fake is reading 21.1.2. But anyway, I've got my soldering iron preheated to 750 degrees. Now it has been quite a while since I've calibrated it, and it's an analog TK950, so it's kind of hard to get it dead on accurate anyway. And I don't really attempt to get it dead on accurate. I just try to get it close. So 750 degrees Fahrenheit for you Celsius users is approximately 399 degrees Celsius. And we're gonna see, I'm gonna tin my iron here, and we're gonna test the real Hakko first and see just how high that climbs. And we're at about 422 Celsius, which is not too far off. It seems like I need to calibrate my soldering iron a little better, but it's reading about 320. It was reading between 322 and 326, I think it was. So not too far off, but probably definitely needs to be recalibrated. But that's not really what I'm worried about. What I really want to see is if this fake Hakko is going to read close to what the real one was. And it looks like we are right in that same ballpark. 424, 425, 426. It is right there in that same ballpark. I mean, there's virtually no difference. Fahrenheit is going to show a little more difference, just because Fahrenheit is a little bit smaller of a measurement from degree to degree. So your Fahrenheit's probably going to show a little bit of difference, a little bit more, it'll seem like a little more of a difference there, but should read pretty much the same, which is exactly what I was expecting from these units. Now I'm going to switch and put the fake Hakko temp sensor on the real Hakko, and then we are going to we're going to try that measurement again, just to compare the sensors, although it should be virtually the same, since both readings on both units were virtually the same. And we'll just tin the tip there a bit. And we are climbing. And it looks like we are getting up to right in that same ballpark. 422, 423, 422, yep. I mean, we're right in that same ballpark. So so there you have it. You know, the fake Hakko, it may be an older patent number, but it's obviously the same design. And even if these aren't made by Hakko, my theory right now, especially after testing these, is these were actually made by Hakko. They were probably the original unit. They probably have a surplus of them, and they're probably selling them off in other countries for dirt cheap, which is why you can only find them on eBay from China for that kind of money. However, even if these aren't being made by Hakko and they're being made by a third-party Chinese company or whatever, and they're just using the old patent, it's still fine. They're if that's the case, they're building them to Hakko standards, because they're obviously accurate. In fact, I'd say they're every bit as accurate as the newer version. But they're completely accurate. And the internals, I've had both these units apart, and the internals do not look like your typical Chinese sweatshop type soldering jobs. It does look like a very well done PCB inside. It is a different PCB than this one, and like I said, it's not switchable between Fahrenheit and Celsius, but I'm starting to repeat myself now, so we'll just wrap up with saying that if you are interested in calibrating your soldering iron and you don't want to spend 150 to 200 bucks, spend 12 or 14 bucks and get one of these from China. They're just as good. They use the same parts, and that's really all there is to say about that. Again, though, keep in mind the older Chinese quote-unquote fake Hakko is not switchable between Celsius and Fahrenheit. So if you're a Fahrenheit user and you don't want to mess with Celsius, make sure the one that you're ordering does Fahrenheit, because I could not find any as of, I don't know, I guess I bought these probably back in July of 2014. So as of that time frame, I couldn't find them. So anyway, that's all I got to say about all this. Peace, and I'll see you in the next video. Oh, feel free to subscribe, give me comments, like, dislike, do all that jazz. Helps me out, helps you guys out in the long run, because I make very, very little money from my channel, but what little bit of money I do make goes back into making videos. So peace.